Welcome to Earth 1111. We are in major timeline shifts right now, especially since the eclipse. But not just that, because there's so much more going on in the cosmos. Now, even more than just the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happened this weekend, which is a 14-year cycle, ending and rebirthing. Really, it's a cycle that hasn't actually happened since 1941. So where this is taking place in the zodiac hasn't happened since 1941. Now, we all know what was happening during that time. But that is why we're not going to be repeating the same cycles of the past. We are actually moving through rapid evolution into a brand new paradigm. And it involves learning from those past timelines. So this is why really the world's going crazy right now. Because all the old karmic debris, imbalances, unconscious is becoming conscious. And this is why as you're moving through your next stage of evolution, you could be feeling like everything's crashing down in your life, or like nothing's working, or you're questioning everything, or maybe you feel nothing at all. But in this video, I'm going to give you signs that you are in fact going through a dramatic, massive timeline shift like never before, and we're not going back. Rapid changes happening, surprises, shocking events. So you got to realize that we all want to kind of know what's going to happen, right? It's that state of the unknown, of the future, that kind of keeps us, right? I'm afraid to step into the new. But the new is where we're headed. And if you are holding yourself back because of fears, then you're going to have a harder time. Now, how are you guys doing since the eclipse? Comment below, because I'd love to know, because I've been offline doing a lot of Stargate work and grid work. There was so much clearing. It was like the eclipse happened and everyone just purged, like spewed out density and old trauma and ancestry, karmic energy, and just everything. So there was a lot to clean up, let's just say, even leading into it. Now, if you feel like, okay, well, it was just an eclipse, so what? It was just the moon going over the sun. That's okay too, right? Or maybe you had a headache, maybe you felt completely different. But in this video, I'm going to give you signs that you are, in fact, moving through a rapid timeline shift into the next stage of evolution. So it's not just the cosmic conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter and the eclipse. We're actually aligning to the biggest black holes and superclusters of our entire known universe or multiverse. So there is a lot of points that frankly, I don't worry too much about the inner planets in our solar system. This is why you don't really hear me talking about a lot of astrology, because it doesn't really interest me talking about local things. And it could be because of my astrology chart is connected to every one of these superclusters and massive black holes way out there in space. But I've always been interested in the greater expansion, of the bigger expansion, right? So watching my videos for a while, you know that I never go surface level. I try to get people beyond that box or their old paradigm into a much more massive, expansive knowledge about themselves, the world, the universe. So what I'm talking about is we have many alignments happening right now with the galactic center of our Milky Way galaxy. Now that, right, you think about that, that seems like it's a big thing. That is just our local galaxy, which really when you compare it to, okay, well, you know, Earth has a solar system with many planets that seem like they're really, really, really far out there. And then there's like trillions and trillions of stars in our galaxy. So our galaxy seems vast. But that is just the local black hole or really unifying force. So if you watch my video back in December talking about black holes and suns, stars, things like that, I explained how a black hole, now I mean an organic black hole, not a wormhole that's created artificially, but an actual organic black hole is a unifying force. It's a pulling force that pulls matter of stars, of planets, really pulls things into a unifying space to then birth on the other side into a higher state of matter or state of, let's say, patterning. So organic black holes are actually an organic part of this universe. I remember being a kid and being like, I was scared of black holes because I felt them as being these like horrible things out there in space that just gobble up things into nothingness and they're gone forever. But you got to realize when you have a unifying force, it's a pulling force that is always constantly unifying creation into essentially a higher pattern. So it will draw in stars, planets, matter, density, life, consciousness into a single point to then allow it to birth on the other side. So we have this unifying force in the center of our galaxy. Now we also have, this is based on actual scientists have discovered this. So it's not just this woo-woo spiritual stuff. But we have what's called the supermassive black hole, which actually is a unifying force way beyond our Milky Way galaxy that unifies and pulls on dozens of galaxies. And then we have what's called the Great Attractor that actually is this massive, beyond what we can even think of, that actually draws in and is constantly pulling on hundreds of thousands of galaxies. So you gotta think about it. We're on one planet, in one solar system, around one star. Think about how big our galaxy is. Well, our galaxy is tiny compared to when you think about these massive areas in space, in creation, that are pulling on hundreds of thousands of galaxies into one space. Really, it's a unifying force. Because it's not actually true that everything is just expanding forever, right? So science likes to say the universe is just expanding forever, right? But actually, the universe is contracting and expanding. That is the balance of nature. If you have something expanding forever, it loses energy. It loses that perfected organic form. So you need these unifying forces that pull all of this matter, all these stars, all of these galaxies into proper patterns of, let's say we can think of the Great Attractor as being that state of merging polarity, of supermagnetism with dielectric energy. So the feminine and the masculine forces of creation itself. That is really what twin flames is all about. It's not about someone out there. It's about you unifying the forces of supermagnetism with dielectric energy, which is really a directional force of energy. That's the masculine, an expansive force. The feminine is a contracting force, a unifying force, like a black hole. Now that's the Great Attractor. Now there's an even greater supercluster of galaxies, which is also really known as the Shapley Attractor, which is an even bigger black hole force that is pulling millions of galaxies into one place out there in the universe. Now remember, up here, the universe, what we perceive as stars and outer space is actually just the mirror image of you internal. This is the inner creation birthing the external creation for us to have a mirror, for us to have an experience in real, right, physicality. So when I talk about these forces of creation, like super black holes, like the Shapley Attractor, the Great Attractor, all these different things, I'm meaning these are huge super magnetic forces of really the cosmic mother energy within yourself. So that is how important it is. We have so many alignments happening right now with these huge points, it is like forcing us to go beyond our comfort zone like never before. So I'm going to get into more things because I'm talking about this for a while, but just know that if you're someone that has a lot of connections in your own astrology chart to these massive galactic points, you're someone who probably does a lot of activating and transmuting of shadow for the whole entire collective. So a lot of you guys that are watching my videos probably have connections where really your life force energy moves through these points, which is how you're able to pull humanity on a massive level into the next state of evolution. So I know for myself, I have like dozens of connections in my astrology chart to every one of these points. So this is why I don't think small, and neither should you, especially right now. Okay, I want to get into now signs that you are in fact going through massive transformation, even if you feel like nothing's going on. So if you feel like your whole life is crumbling, or there's just, right, all of a sudden you have this next level of sensitivity to something that really didn't bother you, maybe it kind of bothered you before, but it wasn't a big deal. Now it is like in your face, this thing, it needs to go from your life. Know that the more super conscious you come, the more that things that are out of alignment with your energy, things that are disharmonious with you, are going to be coming up to the surface to be seen, felt, known, and dealt with. So this is also what's happening on the planet on a large scale level, right? With all the crazy things going on in the world. That is old consciousness, old timelines coming to the surface to be dealt with, to be like, do we still want to deal with this? Do we still want to have this type of predator victim mentality going on in our lives, in the world? No, we don't. We are done with these types of things going on, right? And this is really why a lot of people in the world are sick and tired of the same old BS happening in the world. Whereas before, it was kind of like people didn't care. People didn't notice, right? And that happens. That is a sign of a major timeline shift. When you become more conscious, you become hyper aware of every little pocket in your life that hasn't yet come conscious, right? All of the shadow, all of these old habits, old routines, relationships, lifestyle, patterning, maybe where you live, things that are out of alignment with the new you that you are becoming, that you are really that you have already transformed to inside. Now we're going to be seeing the rapid changes happen in our physical life. Rapid, shocking, surprising events happening going forward, especially with Mercury is now going direct and all these other connections to these super galactic centers. Get ready for a paradigm shift, which means all these things that are not aligned to you anymore, or that you kind of put up with for X amount of years, are going to be very uncomfortable. Now, you might be also feeling like the world out there, right, all the same thing, or maybe your lifestyle, it's just, you're so sick of it. It's the same thing. It's so old. It's so done. You're so ready for change right now. That is because we're meant to step out of our comfort zone. The comfort zone is kind of where we stay when we are willing to ignore all the things that our universe is showing us, that our reality is showing us, that your God's self is showing you that need to change. But when you're unconscious, you're kind of able to ignore them, to numb them out, right? You can kind of keep yourself distracted with things, with scrolling, with maybe addictions, with keeping busy. But when you step up to a new level, it's like you can't ignore them or numb them out anymore. It's this constant drag on your life. So this is why every time we get to the next step in evolution, in in our ascension process of embodying God consciousness into the physical, spiritualizing the physical matter, you get confronted with more shadow. It seems like there's just more darkness all around you and more problems to deal with. And that's because we were living unconsciously, and these things were really always there, but they were hidden. So it's like a veil opens up within yourself. So it's kind of like unfolding a piece of paper, and a veil opens up, and all the stuff comes out to be seen. This is actually what happened during the eclipse. You know how many, so I do psychopumping, which is really helping stuck souls up level into higher states of consciousness so they can get out of where they've been stuck for eons. So this happens a lot of times when people die in tragedies, right? You think about all the things, all the horrible things that have happened on this planet over thousands of years. Now it also happens with actual soul parts of people that are kind of keeping them stuck as well. But so with shamanism and psychopumping, what it is, so this is what I do 24/7. Especially when I sleep, actually, I do a lot of grid work. I did talk about it in my other video, Collapse of the Underworld. Check that video out where I talk about a lot of my dream state, what happens. And actually, I've been having crazy dreams. But let's get into this first. So there's been a lot of, so it's kind of like when the eclipse happened. It was like, poof, the entire consciousness frequency of the planet just raised up. And a lot of people, these beings that died in tragic events, or like I said, parts of us that are in trauma, were able to escape that area where they've been stuck, looping in the same exact. So it's kind of like, you know, like when a part of you, because of a shocking event happens, so a trauma, and a part of you gets kind of shifted out of alignment with the rest of you, and it can't find its way back to you. This is really the fractaled soul. And this is what shamans do all the time, is we are doing soul retrieval. Now this happened on a global level, where it was like, poof, all of a sudden there was just millions of beings that have been stuck in the elemental planes of the earth were able to rise up to the next level of their evolution. So a lot of them were able to be freed to start evolving, and they may have been stuck there for hundreds or thousands of years. So a lot of our own soul parts as well, because so I had a video talking about the fractaled soul. So check that out as well, because I talk about where we will experience these looping kind of routines in life, where we're not really able to get beyond almost this ceiling, where we want to change, but it's kind of like there's something preventing us from changing or stepping into the new. And it's pieces of us that are walled off, that are keeping us tied into lower frequency levels. A lot of them became unstuck. Now this also relates to our ancestry lineages. Think about all the things your ancestors have been through, the traumas, the horrible life, right? Their consciousness is running through your body, your DNA. So when we're able to heal on a massive global level, huge levels of past timelines that have been very dense, very low, and allow things to come into unification, that frees major parts of the planet, that frees many souls, that frees many parts of us that have been keeping us stuck. So you might be feeling that you are finally feeling more connected than you ever have been, where you are ready to step into your soul mission. And before it was kind of like this vague thing out there that you just kind of never could really get yourself, all the pieces of you right here so you can actually start stepping into your greatest soul mission. But now is the time. So like I said, you could be feeling everything crumbling around you, which happens because when we live an unaligned life, when we move up in that state of evolution, things that are no longer aligned to us, that never were, start to unravel as we move into yet another level of unification of our soul and our life stream. So you could be feeling that everything's working out amazingly, or everything's crumbling, and that is all signs of a major timeline shift. Now, deja vu, that is a big thing. I was having that every single day for weeks heading into the eclipse. It's kind of tapered off now, but deja vu, what that is you are merging with a future identity of self, a future version of you. So because time doesn't actually exist, what I mean by future and past, it's really you with more DNA reconnected. So you have a larger DNA package with more wisdom, more life force energy, more connection to the whole. So your frequency is faster. So the actual velocity of yourself, you spin faster. So that is how we perceive something as a future version. It is literally spinning faster. Now, a past version of ourselves would be a piece of us that is actually spinning slower. It has less DNA put together. And really that's because we are heading into evolution. If we were stepping down from God's source into denser and denser and denser levels, we would actually be going in the opposite direction. We would be de-evolving. And the past would actually be parts of us that had higher DNA put together. And the future would actually be us going into denser, more physicalized states where we are more separate. So that's actually kind of a little interesting thing to think about, how time doesn't exist, and that's how wonky it is. All depends on where we are in evolution. So because we're moving into evolution, into unification, the future is higher frequency versions of ourselves. This is really what people perceive as being your guides, your higher self, right? Even your angels, your angelic self, all of these higher levels, these galactic aspects of yourself, to the point where you get beyond even these individual type of metaphor into the pure Stargate grid plasma energy. And that is you in higher states of the solar rishi level, which is you in your 13th, 14th, 15th dimensional existence, where you are literally a star. Not just a single star, but the entire creation itself, in our universal time spiral anyways. So when you're going up, you're actually becoming a collective being. So that is your future versions. So everything, remember, you are the entire universe. As I've been talking about many videos, check out my full course Ascension Magic with hundreds of different topics to give you a lot more clarity on all these different things. It's on sale right now as well. But that is, when we experience that deja vu, we are merging with a future version of ourselves to make sure that we are being pulled towards that future version and not looping in the same old consciousness. So we got some crazy geese over here. So deja vu is you merging a higher aspect of yourself into the now moment, so you can then be pulled into that higher state. So it will literally, so it's almost like you being in quicksand and someone pulling you out of it. You are no longer going to be looping in the same old thing. And this was happening to me multiple times a day. This is how much really the universe is making sure that we are getting beyond right now. Let me tell you, it is not going to let us continue to loop in the same old BS anymore. So it's kind of like the universe's way to ensure that we are stepping up is to merge with these higher aspects of ourselves, these higher identities. Really, it's the process of ascension. We are becoming collective, unified field, the entire thing. Okay, so were you guys experiencing deja vu? Comment below, let me know. And crazy dreams. So this is something that's been going on for my life forever. it's kind of like my waking state is calm. My sleep state is where I do all the major work. So even though I do manually, you know, like Stargate work and grid work, when I'm awake, my waking life is kind of like a lucid dream, right? It's not a normal 3D existence anymore. My life is a shape-shifting DMT breathing experience. Let me know if you guys are experiencing that, because that happens too when we're moving through these massive evolutionary jumps. It could be very unstable. You could be feeling like almost a lot of fear and anxiety coming up, because parts of you, remember that who you think of as yourself, you know. So for me, Roxanne, that is just my mental awareness, my 3D mental awareness of I'm like the collective consciousness of all the parts of me that are my elemental body, my cells, my organs, right? So you aren't just you, the human. You're who you think of as your ego self. Your identity is the collective consciousness being aware of itself, of all the parts of you, the atomic levels of you, the elemental, the organs, the cells, all these different systems. These are beings. Now this is just the microcosm. You are also the macrocosm of all these huge, large systems of the entire planet, the entire solar system, the entire galaxy, many galaxies, like I mentioned before in the video, talking about all the galactic points. That is what Ascension is. We're not going to 5D. By the way, if you're experiencing any type of Ascension symptoms physically, you already are activating beyond the 5th dimension. You are at least 6D activation anyways, and beyond. Now, if you're experiencing massive Merkaba things, you're way beyond that. You are existing in the oversoul levels of the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension. Now, not too many of you guys are beyond that, so I'm not going to get into too much about the plasma body and the solar rishi levels, but know that when you hear about people talking about we're going to the 5th dimension, if you're watching my videos, my guess is you are way beyond the 5th dimension already. So just know that. But the dreams, okay, so sorry, I was talking about the dream state, crazy dreams. I was actually even having some dark dreams as well, clearing. You know what, maybe I'll do a full video about my dreams. Comment below if you guys want to hear more about specific dreams that I've had lately. Because I did talk about them in my other video a couple months ago, talking about the collapse of the underworld. Well, the dreams lately have been even crazier. And way beyond the point of this video, because it's already getting kind of long. But let me know in the comments. Okay, so we got to realize that when you are ready to step into the next level, you have got to deal with the parts of you that are willing to stay small, that are preventing you from fully stepping in with both feet. Where it's kind of like we're scared to step into the unknown, so we kind of keep one foot in the old and one foot in the new, and you're kind of balancing between this, right, old and new life. We need to jump both feet into the brand new right now, because we are going to be experiencing rapid changes, and you don't want to be bouncing around in the chaos. You want to be in the exact center point of that, being in the eye of the storm as chaos ensues in the world and in your own life. Because then you are becoming a co-creator, a master of change, and not a victim of things happening to you, right? So we got to realize we're not victims. The universe will give you signs that that something has to go, and we choose to ignore them. So when something major happens, it's usually, right, we chose to be unconscious about it. This thing was obvious, but we chose to ignore it and to continue doing the same old thing. But really, we knew it was coming down the pipe, and then we act like we were surprised when something major happened. Typically, you are going to, right, so unless it's some major tragedy or something that is literally snapping you back onto your path, which can happen right now too with the eclipse. If you've been living a life unaligned, the eclipse and this whole time right now is snapping you back. And it can be like a hit over the head back into your life purpose, back into the proper timeline. So it could feel like devastation. Or it could feel like, you know what? I knew that was coming. I didn't make the change, and now I'm kind of living in the chaos. So know that it's not easy making changes in our life. It's not easy stepping into our greatness. But we didn't come here to be a little one, right? To be waiting around for someone out there in the hologram to save us and change the world. We came here to spiritualize our physical matter, pull down our God self, and step into our greatest master self, a co-creator of a brand new paradigm. That's why you're here. We're not here to observe it. We're here to create it. So whatever it is that you know that is your soul mission, that you feel that spark within yourself, and this could be something that, where so many people want something done in like a month. It could be something that's your life work that will take 20, 30, 40, 50 years to create. But it can be a master change for all of humanity to benefit from. So what is it? Start thinking about that. Because remember that you don't have to know the very end of something. You just have to know the first step. Take that first step. Because we're being pushed. It's kind of like we're being pushed from behind. If you're not willing to take the first step, you're going to fall over. You know? So it's best to be willing to fly, put the wings out and glide like the eagle during these changes, and not be flopped around like you're in a tornado, right? So there's a lot of really things happening in the world, right, with weather events, things like that. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that, because it's not all just artificially created. It's a lot of inner changes to the inner crystal core of our planet and our entire system that is going to be observed in the external as sometimes catastrophic changes. But a lot of times we got to realize that Mother Earth is balancing itself out, because we've been living unaligned lives on a huge scale level. So what is it that you can step yourself into? Because we are in rapid timeline shifts like never before. Remember, where were you a couple weeks ago? Are you a different person now? And I was going to say, time was even wonky. So last weekend, it was like we were in the void. There's a little bunny coming. We were, so time normally lately has been rapidly moving forward quickly. But it was like time was standing still. It's like we were in this void space before the huge fast forward motion. So if you've ever been on a tube behind a boat and the boat's going in circles and you're kind of like beside the boat and you're like not moving, but you're about to get whipped, that's where we're at right now. So be willing to jump in with both feet, because our life, the world, everything is about to change so much right now. You're not one of the people here to report and observe the changes. You're here to co-create a brand new paradigm of new Earth. Now, what is it that you're going to do? Ask yourself that. If you want help to uncover your soul purpose and get yourself unstuck from old patterns keeping you looping in the past, and plus a step-by-step guide to implement your soul purpose in real life with an online business, with many different strategies for success where you don't waste years like I did doing all the wrong stuff, then join me for Epic Shift CEO. It's on sale right now. There's close to 100 people in the program that are transforming their lives at the core level forever. So join us. There's also a private community. I'll put the link in the description below. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook, where I have other content there. And please share my videos as well and give me a thumbs up. It really helps my videos get seen to more people, and it shows the algorithm that this is a good video to show other people. So thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you for everything you're doing right now to help bring and usher in the entire planet into a new paradigm. And find me on my website, EARTH1111.com. And thanks so much for subscribing. I'm Roxanne. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.